Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears on the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson, and of course with dinner is the techy guy with the most. How are you, darling?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Slowly attempting to either drive myself to the level of genius that I haven't seen in 30 years or going mad.
I mean, if my dreams account for anything, I think you've gone mad.
Well, your dreams
Shoulder pads. Shoulder
anything.
pads.
We need to take off to Columbus because that's the only place to get that level of beating.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, no, I don't know. It's been a weird week full of weird dreams, full of just it's been
Hell.
crazy. Yeah, that too. That
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Kind of a shit show week, really.
And I'm attempting to build out a Notion board to
Mhm.
control our budget.
And it's not going badly. It's just taking a lot of effort.
They say if you don't use something, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really beginning to wonder where the fuck my shit went to.
I don't know. Maybe it was a trade-off, like database administration for psychic gifts and abilities. Like it was a 1-for-1.
Oh, come on. You sat there and... Hello. It is not your turn. Yeah, you look so cute. Get off to your stage. I don't know. It was like you came over and you literally wrote a formula that I had been struggling with for about 2 hours in about 3 minutes. And I'm like, thanks, darling.
Okay. Well, I mean, I did a simple assumption that it could be done, and then went, okay, I've written this formula 1,000 times.
Right.
To do different things in different places for different reasons, for different whatever. It took me a second just because, I off the top of my head know the Excel version.
Right.
And Notion's working with a modified version of that. It's
working with
UI. It is, but it isn't
Yeah.
the Excel formula. It's very, very the formula system is pretty basic.
Right.
It does a lot of the heavy lifting for you.
Right.
But then the operands are a little different.
Right.
So it's okay, pause, what didn't that work? Okay, got it now.
Yeah, which I may have you work on the formula for the category edition. And if you can do that, that would be lovely. Because that's the only thing left to do.
Okay.
And then we'll have our rear view accounting done. Well, our rear view accounting system done. And then we can do the front view accounting system.
Okay.
Yeah. Which can get technically easier.
Yeah, so you're trying to currently you're going through and working with a year's worth of our financial data,
right,
in retrospect,
right,
and then you're trying to see can it be can we turn that into some predictive accounting,
right,
in terms of what are the utilities, when are they due, roughly what are we spending on groceries and
food, cigarettes, felines. Swear, if you guys need a drinking game tonight, how many times does Anna go for a flight?
Yeah, well, no. That's how you die in the ER from alcohol poisoning. Don't do that. But no, though I will say, if we have to adjust for feline-based expenses, this is going to get real complicated.
Yeah.
You may want to leave that a manual category. He about cost us $100 a week ago. Not on anything easily identifiable like a vet bill.
Right.
But on a trip to Walmart for an Apple Pencil.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Ashley, we haven't seen you here in forever.
Hello, Ashley.
Welcome in.
Welcome in. Welcome in.
Yeah, so good to see you. I keep telling him all he's done is make this fun for her.
Yeah.
Like you are not teaching her to not do this.
She's enjoying it. I'm getting her off me. We're happy. She's now gone to found something else, like a bread tie to go playing with.
Hey, there you go. That works. Oh, hey, Shannon. Oh, she was playing on the TikToky. That's okay. We were running a little slow ourselves. It's just been the week for it.
It's been the week for it. All right.
I'm hoping everything resets for tomorrow. Because like this, if you guys were here for Psychic That Plans on Sunday,
yep.
You do what now?
I said, yep, they were.
Okay. But what I was saying was, if you were here for that, then you saw this. This was kind of a roller coaster week to start with. Like there was a lot of weirdness. That was a lovely dream. That was as weird as this week was going to be. It just
it steamrolled backwards, forwards, upside down. Okay, we'll try it again this way. You know.
Yep, pretty much.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. We do appreciate that. Oh, Shannon says I did get a fun filter, and apparently now my husband says get my lashes did. LOL.
Well,
like how far are we going? Are we going with like?
I have a problem.
Okay.
Shannon has nice looking lashes. Why does she need to get them done?
I don't know. Apparently her husband's down for it, and she went a little crazy with the fun filter. The beauty filters.
No.
Shannon's like, I'll send it to you.
Send it to me. We'll take a look at this.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, you know, we're not the only ones that are having a really weird and strange week.
Ashley, are you wearing them upside down, girl?
What?
Like, if you feel like you have oversized eyebrows, I think you turned the curl wrong.
That's mixed with wax.
Snuffleupagus girls from Sesame Street, says Devin. I'm sorry. I'm good now. I'm trying to be. Oh, Devin's with me on the Strange Dreams. Cool deal. Glad someone else is on this. It's been a week for him. So what the hell?
It has been. You know, Pluto came out of retrograde, and damn, did it get mean.
Oh, yes, Devin, you did amazing on that one. Oh, so Shannon says he sent me the pictures, and I was like, should I get my hair dyed and a nose ring? And he said, get your lashes done like that, and I don't care what you do after that. All right. So you got off on hair dye and nose ring.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do lashes. I think that could be a decent.
They now have them to where they magnetically snap on, and you don't have to do half the shit I used to do. So I'm kind of game for that.
How are we what? Like I know generally they're either you have to put on adhesive and just like tack them on there, or they have a peel and stick, and again you have to tack them on there. But
no. They have eyeliner that is magnetic, that has metal in it, granulated graphite. And all you do is you put your eyeliner on, and then your eyelashes go on, and then you do two coats of mascara, and you are done.
All right. I can't see anything that could possibly go wrong with graphite eyeliner.
Hey, it
Not
ain't
at all. Not at all.
It is better than the whiteout the girls in Ohio were using.
Oh well, yeah, true. If you're gonna do the inside lid line, in white.
Yeah. Before they came out with white liquid white, they would use white out.
No. Oh,
and to answer Ashley's question, possibly a few of them have gotten married. I'm sure a few of them have no longer existed. We're going 20 years, you know. So I'd have to go back and see. I mean, heck, my bar ain't even standing anymore now. That's the only one that turned into another club. Warehouse 29 is now a jazz club, and I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Hey, the first bar that I ever went to got leveled and a baseball stadium put on it.
The first bar I ever went to is now an impound lot in Huntington. My home bar is now both of my home bars are now parking lots.
Yeah. No, I only ever went once, and then like I think the next year they leveled it to turn it into part of the baseball stadium in Greensboro.
Yeah.
Something. I know something about that. It was the Palms.
Aw, you went to the gentleman's club.
Apparently. There was nothing gentle about the men there.
Well, honey, gentleman, not gentleman.
Just saying.
Yeah, I know. That's where you go to find the rich ones.
Shannon, no, we're the wrong generation to count bars that our parents took us to. You have to wait until, when it was closer to legal. Like, were you an adult at the time? Whether or not you could legally drink, were you an adult at the time?
Did my parents ever take me to a bar? No.
Well, for me, it depends on what you count.
Okay.
Pool hall that serves alcohol, and that's basically why it exists.
Right.
Like, I mean, they allowed children to come in because the bar is on one side, the pool hall's on the other, but the pool hall was kind of a front.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Brenda says most of my bar days were under 18. Aww.
See.
Ashley said the best bar I got growing up was Fry's. Yeah. No, I don't think a restaurant with a bar counts.
See.
Like, we're not Baptist church ladies here.
Well, first of all, no, my mother never done that. Second of all, my father, by the time that I was old enough to start walking, he had had a rule thrown on him. If you're going to drink, you're going to drink at home. So, Mom laid down the law to him really quickly. That for him, he was going to have to drink at home. So by that time, it was like, okay. So, my uncle did take me to the bar, but that was after I was 21, and I was the one showing him where the bar was. Let me think. No, my parents never took me to the bar. My uncle took me, but it's like, let me show you the quicker way there. Granted, I entered that scene when I was 18, so, well, younger than 18. So, that was fun.
Oh, Brenda says, our family rule was that if it's worth drinking, it's worth drinking straight. Oh, so Shannon says, Brenda, my dad would have me go around and ask the drunks for $1 to play the jukebox. Dudes would give me like $5, and one dude gave me $100. Aww. Aww. Well, and then I have to stop and think back. Like, I mean, do moose clubs count? Because in that case, my sister actually took me to more bars than my parents. There's,
Well, yeah, most of the times they do count because they have to have a liquor license.
I mean, because again, it's kind of. I mean, it's one of those like. It's they have a bar and like I'm not saying everyone was totally plastered. I'm just like they had also had a buffet and dancing.
Right.
Like this was on a weekend. Like I'm just sitting here going, how do you count it? It gets a little wild.
Yeah. And that's like, well, do we count me going to the bar at 16? Or do we count, the time I ended up at the Alice Club? What are you exactly classifying as bars here?
Yeah. Now, if you go for full on, like, it was a bar, there was nothing else you could call it, you went to the bar. I actually was like 21.
Really?
Yeah. That would have been my technical first time.
Ah, no, my technical, if we're going by it's a bar. Technically, it's 16.
Like, it wasn't like a push, though. Like, because I think the Palms, though, if I remember right, like, it was a bar, but it was more clubby.
Eh,
Sort of. Or no, then
No,
no, have to straight count that one as bar. Then okay, I was 19.
I straight count that as a gentleman's club.
Okay.
And the reason for that, let me clarify the reason for that is because you only went to the Palms if you were looking to pick up someone that can supply you with a paycheck.
Well, then this was the most awkward first date, last date ever.
Yeah.
Cuz that means I was the well, because that means it's basically it's a sugar daddy bar.
Right.
So then technically I was the meat
Mhm.
for the sugar daddy.
Yeah.
And no. But it does make more sense why like it was a very weird night. Let's just stop there. It was
Okay.
a 3-stop date, okay? There was dinner, there was the Palms, and we can't even go into the rest of the story. It'll get the video taken down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh, so Brenda's dad went to all the group clubs, Moose, DAV, Eagles, etc., but didn't belong to any of them. His buddies let him in. Oh, there you go.
yeah. Um. I uh. I need one of them like a Splendid Daddy bar. That's okay with a husband, a gut, and some kids.
I mean, does anyone care about the husband at the sugar daddy bar?
As long as they, don't, get in the way of cashing the paycheck.
Fair, fair, fair. Oh,
Now,
yeah.
as long as they don't have a problem with getting their cash app approved. But anyhow,
Mhm. But yeah, no, like I'm with Shannon sort of like I know for Princeton, it like definitely like it was kind of like redneck country club-ish.
uh huh,
You know what I mean? But it wasn't necessarily very religious.
uh huh,
But it was very like split between this being family fun friendly time
mm-hmm,
and okay, everyone under the age of something needs to go home now.
right,
Because this is turning quickly into a bar, not a uh, family fun time.
right.
But it was a killer buffet.
Well, and here's the thing, though. I really think when we were growing up,
Mhm.
drinking was different. Bars were different. I mean, really different. Comparative to like when we go to vice versa now,
Mm-hmm.
compared to 30 years ago, it's a very different experience.
Okay, because see, now here's where you're going to have to fill in because I don't know.
I know.
Because I'm like, what are we talking about?
Um, yeah, it's a very different experience. I think this year we'll probably end up going to um, the back bar at vice versa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were like, so apparently the front bar, like the main bar club dance area, and all the way back to the actual bar,
Hmm.
the literal where you order your drinks, that's all like totally public. And then there's, and I got a little put off by the words back room. Because
Right.
I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Like, what we talking about here? But I think everyone was trying to explain that no, it's just age limited.
Yeah.
That like, no, this is for older patrons that are like, I do not want to spend the evening
Right.
with screaming, yelling college kids.
Yeah. Or and apparently, from what I hear, like the bartender is more experienced. I ain't having to explain to him what a drink is and what I expect out of the drink. So
Okay,
yeah,
well, there's that.
yeah. So we'll probably end up in the back room at, and these are one of those sentences that now mean something different than what it did
Yeah.
in, you know, the older club days. Yeah, we'll go to the back room. You know, I'll be holding court in the back room. Bar, not, probably at Yule.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely a sentence that totally changed.
It did.
Like I've never had the quote unquote like backroom experience
Uh
as it
huh.
was originally meant,
Uh huh.
but I've heard about it. And I'm like, I
Plead the fifth.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Means you've held court there before. Got it. Um
Oh,
oh come on. Everyone
yeah.
else thought it. I just said it.
Yes.
Um Oh, so Shannon apparently has fun with the attempted scammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys that are like, "I'll give you 5,000 a week, and you just have to adore me and give me all your time." And I'm just, my husband might have some issues with that. Last one, I sent them my PayPal and told them they'll get my attention when I get the money.
Good girl.
Good deal, good deal.
Good deal.
Aww. Brenda says, last time I was there, I ended up upstairs flirting and joking with the owner's boyfriend. He was so fun. Guy I was with used to date him. Aw.
Uh,
Aw.
yeah.
Very
So
cool.
very cool. Very fun. But no, that is December 16th for those that want to come out. We're having the Yule Ball at Vice Versa. This is our second annual one. Doors open at 2. Ball will begin around 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's the market earlier in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then that runs until about, what, 2 hours before the ball begins?
It runs till 7.
Yeah,
Because
so
they got to transform that into the ball.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
so there's about an hour for the vendors to leave and an hour for cleanup, and then we launch into the party section of the Yule Ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
The enjoyable section of the Yule Ball.
And it's downtown Morgantown. You can find something to do for 2 hours.
Yes,
Like,
there's some
you can
lovely
come spend it.
restaurants. You can go eat. Come back.
Absolutely.
You always want to eat before you go to the bar. Point blank, eat before you go to the bar. Don't pre-party. Get you some food in you. You'll need it for the evening.
Yeah, it is a really nice bar.
They've
It's a really nice bar.
redone it so much. Like they've really done some nice work there. I'm very, very surprised with that.
Mm-hmm.
Comparatively to what they got.
Oh yeah, and the parking deck's really convenient.
Yep.
Like it's not a parking nightmare.
Right. And I believe it's free on weekends.
I think so. I think that's how that worked out. Is we thought we were going to have to pay to get out Friday night, and then no, like the gates were up because it was Saturday now.
Right.
So, your mileage may vary on that. Be careful, but yeah. Never go into a parking deck without the ability to pay to get your car out. That never ends well.
Right. And remember where you put your car.
Yes. Very important.
Yeah.
Don't lose your car.
Yeah. Write it down and put it on a note in your phone, text it to your best friend, something so that you can find your car.
Mm-hmm.
But no, really like working with vice versa again.
Oh yeah, they're great.
They, and they're going to have the buffet again this year. That's always delicious.
I don't think I ever got anything from the buffet.
I don't think you did either, honey. I think that we had gone out to eat and you were full.
I could have done buffet, but it seemed like every time we were ready to go to the buffet, something else happened, and then we just it kept getting pushed down the priority list. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to the buffet. I think I'm just gonna go stand and wait for it to get set out, and release the hounds, and you can go and enjoy that back room.
Well, I'm gonna go enjoy the back room, and that's go enjoy a good gin and tonic, and sit there and talk and swap stories, and what a bar is meant to be like.
Oh yeah, definitely take a pic with your cell phone. That does really, really help.
Yes.
And be careful about using the apps to find your car. They don't do too well with altitude, which it's nice to know exactly where in the parking deck your car is, minus that whole Z axis of what level.
Yes.
Is it on 4? Is it on 3? Is it on 2? We don't know, but we know it's right there.
Right.
Somewhere.
So, looking to have fun there. I think it'll be an amazing evening. It was last year when we first done it. Get to see some queens. That's my light of the evening.
Oh yes, you are always down for a drag show.
I am. I get really pissy. In general, because there's drag and there's what the fuck are you doing? And I'm more like I want to see real drag.
Mm-hmm.
None of this campy crap that I don't know what you're doing, but that isn't drag. Go put some tits on.
Mm-hmm.
Put a wig on. Maybe 2 or 3 wigs. Just saying.
Okay. Recently, we went to DC and I had to use Apple Pay to get out, but my card was locked and we were underground. Do not recommend at all. Yeah. That's also a good point in why you don't use the apps too, because if they can't get data.
Yeah.
If this stuff can't, you do have to be careful. If you can't get data service, your phone will not help you in this situation.
No, I'm just surprised they didn't have Wi-Fi.
Oh, they may have, but I mean, I don't know. Like, who Wi-Fi's a parking deck? Like, you're just inviting trouble.
You'd be surprised, with all the cars that are getting electronically started and all this other.
Fair point. Fair point. The deck did not. The restaurant upstairs did, but the deck did not.
Right.
Ooh. 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 Yeah. Be careful with that. Like, we're close. I think we're sincerely close on being able to just like forgo the wallet. Because we have states that are now doing like app-based ID systems. So it replaces like your driver's license, whatever. Here's the problem though. None of these help you in the situations where like you're in the middle of West Virginia with no cell phone tower. You don't have a license.
Right.
You're in the middle of DC in an underground parking deck. You don't have a payment card.
Right.
Like, that's what that turns into. So I think we are a little ways away from this being totally viable. But I think it's nice we're getting there.
Right.
That we're inching towards it. I'll believe it when the Social Security Administration says you no longer have to carry a Social Security card. We have an app for that.
I thought that you were not, like, it is not supposed to be a form of ID.
That's your social. That has been the longest debate. It is a form of identification. What you're not supposed to do with it is use it in other programs or other situations to identify people, even if you're obscuring large parts of it.
Right.
So I remember starting college and professors posting grades by social.
Right.
So you would have like the last 6 digits of your social, the first 3 were blurred out.
Right.
And then your grade.
Right.
Meanwhile, it was the biggest joke in the world because it was alphabetical. Like, no professor ever resorted.
Right.
So, But no, I remember that until it got to a point that like colleges were getting sued.
Right.
Like, you're fundamentally releasing people's socials. Please stop doing that. The federal government is pissed. And then insurance companies used to like frequently use that as like, this is your identification number for your insurance. And the federal government's like, oh no, it is not. Oh no, it is not.
Right.
We don't do that. Oh yeah. Yeah, they do have a printed on them, not a form of identity of ID.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if that's it. I know it's the general. It's not supposed to be an ID, but it is.
Right.
It is. Like, the DMV accepts it as a form of identification, and God knows if you're trying to get a driver's license without it, good luck.
I like the new way we can get driver's license. Just go to Sheets and pick it up.
The DMV employees have been replaced with a kiosk. And no one's mad.
No, not even the DMV employee.
The DMV employees. And that kiosk makes me happier than any DMV employee has ever done.
Yeah, you can do it at 2 in the morning, 2 at night, don't matter. Just roll up and do it.
You can go online, do a fair number of things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm waiting till we get like the photo booth kiosk so you can literally do it all.
Yeah.
Like, you can replace your photo. Like, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. So I think all that's coming, and it's coming well. So it seems like, currently, let's get rid of that. We don't have a Speaker of the House. Do I need to become the Speaker of the House?
Well, we still don't have a Speaker of the House. Like, we've been going for this for a while. It looked like Jim Jordan was going to be there.
Yeah, it looked like it until he checked his financials.
Well, yeah, they rejected him on third failed vote.
Yeah,
Like, I think we were talking about it last week, and it looked like they were going to get him on the second, but apparently no.
yeah. And what was funny to me, and it's just hilarious,
Mhm.
is they expected to get him through with votes from the Democrats. We don't like any of y'all. Not one of you. We don't think you should have office. We don't think that, you've done anything for this country in the last 60 years. Why did you think that we were going to vote for one of your speakers into place when we would much rather have Nancy Pelosi up there? Or, at this point, I would take even poor little old Democrat from North Carolina.
Oh, well, I mean, after the last like of time spent trying to work with either party, I'll say that like it's been a rough uh like it's been a very rough political process for at least the last 30 years.
I won't go 30. I'll go 10.
Like and this is like I really hate that it's on both sides commentary, but this one kind of is.
Yeah.
And now granted, like when I say that there's some nuance to that. Like on one side, like, okay, we're trying to prevent like some pretty horrible atrocities over here towards humanity by being obstinate and stubborn. And then on the other side, it's just like a hostage negotiation for those atrocities.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not an even playing field. It's like, end abortion, fund healthcare.
Right.
Like, these aren't the same. These
Now,
aren't the same. Like there's different reasons to shut down the government and reasons you probably ought not to.
well, I have the opinion that, we should just shut it down anyhow. I mean, they ain't getting anything done. It's just going to save us money. I mean, because Social Security stands on its own for the next 6 months. Our president is well capable of conducting a war. He does not need the power of Congress because as long as he doesn't declare war, he can take his troops anywhere he pleases as long as they are not in session. So, what, the IRS isn't going to be working?
Oh no. Well, no, granted, that still ends up coming around to bite politicians in the ass
Yeah.
because yeah, that turns into delays implementing new tax code, which turns into delays in refunds and processing returns.
Right.
And then there's the post office, which see, the post office should be self-sustaining.
Right.
It's not.
Well, that's from poor management.
Well, that's from being continuously raided,
Right.
trying to privatize it by making it look as bad as possible with some of the worst policies ever created that were intentionally built
Right.
to crash the postal system.
Right.
Like this is like, yeah. The United States Postal Service has been put on an insolvency path.
Right.
And it's ridiculous. The things that have been proposed and even the things that have passed.
Right.
Because they are all with the intent
Right.
to crash this system. Like by putting in requirements that you would never put on a private business, that we have never put on a private business. That you would look at people and be like, are you trying to crash this?
Right.
Like, you can't. Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
But yet claiming that, oh, see, this is how it's insolvent.
Right.
And it's like, well, it wasn't until you made it that way, but yes, now it is.
Right. It's like, if I go, oh, well, Keen's not profitable. Yeah, Keen's not profitable. You've not logged in. Well, it's still not profitable.
Okay, well, we'll let you work out that logical fallacy on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good luck.
Thanks for playing.
But alrighty. Um, yeah, they are now kind of, well, and the $20 to mail a letter can be very codependent. Like if you do United States Postal Service like I do, which is apparently the most expensive ways possible because I never can choose the cheap option. Like, we don't send me to the post office anymore. It ends badly and expensively every
Yes.
time.
Every time.
He can go to the post office and mail anything for like 75 cents.
Right.
I go to the post office, it's like a minimum 50.
Right.
I will somehow have chosen the most expensive options. Like, they just see me coming and go,
Yeah. I'll walk in and it's like, nope, business class, media mail. Thank you very much. I don't care if it doesn't arrive there for 6 weeks, a month.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's the little racks with the flat rate. They get me on flat rate every time.
Yeah.
Because I end up picking up priority mail instead of flat rate, and then that just ruins the whole thing.
Right. So. But no, we don't have a Speaker of the House. And then, more interestingly, let's go to Georgia. Two things out of Georgia. Hello, Georgia. How are you? Yes, we know it's peach season. You can ship some up for us. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. So the Advocate lets us know that Georgia to cover gender-affirming care for state workers under settlement lawsuit. Georgia's health insurance plan for state employees will now cover transition-related care under a settlement reached in a lawsuit brought by the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund. The settlement announced Thursday comes as open enrollment is underway, TLDEF notes in a press release. TLDEF and co-counsel Bondurant Mixon and Elmore brought the suit last December on behalf of 3 public employees and the child of 1, plus the Campaign for Southern Equality. Filed in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Georgia, it argued that the exclusion of gender-affirming procedures under the Georgia State Health Benefit Plan is unlawful discrimination. The plan covers more than 500,000 Georgians, including employees of state agencies and public school districts and their family members. Under the settlement, those insured through the plan will immediately be able to access transition procedures. All insurance options offered by the state plan will carry this provision. Quote, transgender health care coverage generally includes medically necessary transgender surgery and or other services as deemed medically necessary and appropriate by the members treating medical personnel, consistent with the standards of care of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, also known as WPATH, to treat gender dysphoria in its standards of care, as further explained in the third-party administrator's medical policies. Also, the state will pay a financial settlement totaling $365,000 to the plaintiffs in the case. Let's see, Micah Rich, Benjamin Johnson, and Jane Doe, who are employees of government agencies in Georgia and have been denied transgender-related health care. John Doe, who is Jane Doe's young adult child, and enrolled in the SHBP through his mother, and the Campaign for Southern Equality, a nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing LGBTQ plus civil rights throughout the South. The settlement covers a portion of their legal expenses as well.
Good.
Oh, and additionally, Anthem-operated plans will remove the exclusion for, quote, services and supplies for a sex change and or the reversal of a sex change, and United-operated plans will remove the exclusion for, quote, sex transformation operations and related services, and the state is prohibited from recreating a comparable exclusion. Nice.
That's the more important part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the winning language.
Right.
Like that was a well thought out verdict.
Yes.
Like we're not even getting into.
Right. You are hereby prohibited from impeding on these civil rights.
Yeah, you're not allowed to turn around and vote this into a fervor.
Right.
So yeah.
That's a good one. And, the court down there has been very, very busy. Very busy.
Oh, yeah, it's been a... Yeah.
Yeah. Chesbro, pro-lawyer pled guilty in Georgia for election subversion case.
Implicates Trump in fake elector conspiracy. So, yeah. So Atlanta, and this is from CNN Politics, Kenneth Chesbro, an attorney who helped orchestrate the Trump campaign's 2020 fake electors plot, pleaded guilty Friday in the Georgia election subversion case to being part of a conspiracy alongside former President Donald Trump and others. The plea deal is another blow to Trump and a major victory for Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, who charged Trump and 18 others in the effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election. It comes one day after former Trump campaign lawyer Sidney Powell also pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. Chesbro pleaded guilty to one felony, conspiracy to commit filing false documents. Fulton County prosecutors recommended that he serve 5 years of probation and pay $5,000 in restitution, and Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee imposed that sentence at Friday's hearing. Chesbro has also agreed to testify in future court proceedings. As part of his plea deal, Chesbro admitted that he conspired to put forward fake GOP electors in Georgia with Trump and former Trump lawyers Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman. Giuliani and Eastman have both pleaded not guilty in the Georgia case and now face the prospect of Chesbro taking the witness stand against them. The plea came shortly after jury selection and the trial began Friday morning as planned, but was short-lived. A source familiar with discussions said the likelihood of Chesbro taking a deal increased after Powell made a surprise turn and pleaded guilty on Thursday.
Maybe he'll be qualified as a dog walker.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, that could be where he's headed to. That could be his next job, is he could walk the dog. Maybe he'll come up to West Virginia. Baby doll could use a new walker.
I don't know. I at this point, for a former president, it's not going well.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know not everyone's going to get like Jimmy Carter status. You know what I mean? Like just you left the presidency, everyone loved you, you went around the world building houses, like everyone loved you more. Like you're not always going to get like Jimmy Carter status. I get that.
Right.
But I don't even think Nixon had it this bad.
Nixon was smart. He left Washington and went home, shut his mouth, and stayed in his house.
Fair enough.
Till people forgot what a shame he was.
Well, and more so because he left before charges were filed. They pretty much had him dead to rights. There was no going backwards, and effectively everyone got what they wanted, which was you need to step down now.
Yes.
Like just stop.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Trump presidency and everything that was going on there, it's like we took a bad situation, we doubled down on it, we made that worse and then doubled down on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like it's like it just got progressively worse. And it's like, will you please stop?
Right.
Like, seriously stop.
Well, I hope Republicans get their head out of their ass.
I don't
Okay.
think that's coming.
If he gets on the ballot and he gets your majority vote, you're an idiot.
You know, I can't argue that one. I can't argue against that one. This is like, wow.
Of course, I think the New York cases may prevent him from being so very quickly.
This is true.
Yeah.
Oh, but no. I mean, it's taking forever, and typically, like, and I understand how frustrating that is. But typically, that means when it does come to fruition, it is a 4th of July level event.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've got to sift through that much evidence, which there's a lot, yeah, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
This is why we're 3 years out.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
You
A
know.
lot of people probably thought in the beginning they were going to run this and just be like, no, nothing happened. I blah, blah, blah. My lawyers will take care of it. And then slowly
Mm-hmm.
it all starts to unravel. And then eventually it gets to a point there's nothing.
Right. What I'm finding more impressive is the judge in New York.
Mm-hmm.
She actually has him under a gag order.
Now we have to see how much does he, which one does he care about most, his celebrity or his freedom? You should piss off a judge with a gag order on you, and you are not going to have freedom.
Right.
Like, you know, that's not going to.
Right.
Because he spent decades running his mouth for celebrity.
Right. Well, you know, but here's the thing: he doesn't own that either. Like they're finding out he's not a billionaire. He's a minor millionaire, and that's debatable at this point. He may not even be that.
Well, and it all depends upon how you do the accounting.
Yes.
And fundamentally, that was the whole New York case, is that the accounting was wonkier than shit.
Right.
And it was primarily intended to defraud banks and investors.
Correct.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That and it really, this is not news. In reality, this isn't news. Like, we knew this.
All right.
Like, what? 8 years ago? 7 years ago now?
Yeah.
Like the minute he would not submit his tax returns, the minute he would not provide his financials, we knew this was a house of cards.
Yeah. And that those cards were falling so fast that he couldn't catch them.
Yeah. Or that it would make it obvious that this is a house of cards. And so he did everything he could do to hold on to his business.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. At no point do I ever suggest anyone take a page from the Donald Trump handbook, okay? But some of this starts to make sense when you compare the options.
Okay.
Like, you sit here and you run your mouth and you act like an ass and you do everything to draw attention to anything but your financials, because that's your moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
It's your ability to keep falsely claiming value that doesn't exist because you've been faking financial statements for banks for years.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you quit being able to do that, you're going to go broke quickly, because these banks are going to figure out that you don't have the assets.
Right.
That they're just handing you money.
Right.
And it's effectively the whole basis financially for him was this overextension of being able to overvalue properties and overvalue assets and then use that as a scaffolding to get more property and more assets.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so effectively, it's like building an upside down pyramid.
Right.
Is that at some point, if anyone questions the legitimacy
Mm-hmm.
of any of the things you're doing, it's going to fall over.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is what I do not understand. When he divorced Ivanka,
Mm-hmm.
she had built him a fucking empire. Like, that woman raised her 3 children, got on a helicopter every morning, flew to New Jersey, and ran those casinos like a boss.
Mm-hmm.
Made profit on them, clearly made profit on them. It was listed in the white pages profit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 years of him sleeping with Margaret Marco, those properties went bankrupt. Not good. Like, okay, I get that he's dumb as a box of rocks. I do not get how stupid you are when you have someone that has built you $1 million income. Like, she had made money for him to burn.
Mm-hmm.
Burn.
Mm-hmm.
How he has screwed this up so bad.
Well, there's an in-between there.
Mm-hmm.
Is you have to assume that he ever had any business ability whatsoever outside of coming from the right pedigree,
Mm-hmm.
and having some cash.
Well, Daddy gave him that, and then she
And a
made it.
damn good lawyer.
Yeah.
So over that time, he went from daddy's cash and a damn good lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
which I know, Roy Khan. That's a whole series of issues. He like Roy Khan was scum, but damn good lawyer.
Yeah.
Got him out of everything and anything he ever tried to do, no matter how illegal it was.
Yeah.
By being able to argue persuasively in ways that were beyond immoral.
Right.
But managed to do it. And then into a marriage with a business powerhouse.
Yeah.
Like, effectively, everything that he had was codependent upon other people.
Right.
But somewhere along the way, the only thing anyone saw was Donald Trump.
Right.
And they thought it was Donald Trump.
Right.
And the book deals, the university, the stakes, the towers, the properties, the developments, all of it.
Yeah.
Bore his name, so it must be his brainchild.
Right.
The problem being is slowly he lost all these things.
Right.
Or all the supporting cast. And I think he got sucked into his own hubris that he was the moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then he lived on that. He coasted on that.
For a minute.
With some really good accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say really good, I mean really creative, not actually morally good.
Right.
But really creative accounting, and it was a shell game.
Yeah.
Is hide the assets, reinflate them, and put them back out there, take a loan on that, use that to buy another asset, to overvalue it, to get another loan, and just keep the money generator moving.
Right.
But when you start questioning it,
mm-hmm.
when you start picking it apart, and again, this is one of those things that I think you can pull it off for a while,
mm-hmm.
but there comes a point in which you've done it too much.
Right.
And now eventually someone has to start asking, what the hell?
Well,
either you're a business genius and you just, everything you touch turns to gold, or there's got to be some lies here.
See, I think that there's a bunch of lies, but also, I think that, he got himself screwed when Ivanka died, money wise, because, she was like, I'm sorry, there's nothing the woman didn't do that didn't make money.
Right. Well, and then it becomes a question of, because was she still involved in the business?
Not officially.
Okay. Because then it becomes a question of, was she unofficially still calling the shots and telling him what to do and how to do it and make money with it, or at least doing that in an unofficial capacity?
Right.
Or did she sincerely build that much of an empire that it took him forever,
Yeah.
seemingly, to destroy it?
Right.
To just scaffold himself so far out that all it could do is tip over.
Right. I think it
And
got to the point, I think she built so much long-term empire, not short-term. This ain't quick cash. This is long growth potential. Like, this is how this is going to go. You get 30 years. This is going to turn you this amount of money for the next 30 years, Donald. Don't sell it.
Well, don't sell it. Don't touch it. For God's sakes, run for a congressman.
Yeah.
Run for a senator.
Yeah.
Run for a mayor. You'll be fine. President.
Yeah.
You really thought with all this you could run for president?
Yeah.
And not just draw so much attention on yourself.
Exactly.
That someone wasn't going to pick apart the threads.
Well, I think that the problem is you see a change in what I call the running of the show. Ivanka dies. Daughter steps up. Daughter doesn't, even though she probably worked with her mother, and her mother taught her everything, because Lord knows her father did. But she doesn't have the gut, the skill, and the mistakes. She hasn't done the mistakes before. And that's where I think it starts unraveling.
Well, and when you start with too much money, it's easy to get really behind the 8 ball before you realize you're there.
Right.
And I would also argue that some of this may have been okay.
Right.
As in, this whole machinery, whether it was what his ex-wife created or what he went on to do,
right,
regardless which one it was, I think he would be fine.
Yeah.
And would just, like Donald Trump minus a presidency would be fine. Like, this machinery would still be running. He would still be doing all of this. He would still be making money hand over fist. He would still be building the scaffolding out. I think it turns into a much worse incident in the future.
Yeah.
Like, I think potentially it was hitting a critical mass where it's like, you're going to crash 5 banks.
Right.
And not small names. You're going to crash 5 major banks.
Right.
Into insolvency.
Right. Well, I think that's because of his mismanagement of the funds that she created.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm saying, but if, like, okay, so the divorce and but the machinery she created,
right?
If he had just don't do anything else, just let it run,
leave it alone,
go play golf, like go buy Mar-a-Lago, go play golf, go just be a billionaire playboy,
right?
You'd be fine.
Yeah.
Just let it run. Just let it run. But I'm saying, even if he had still decided, okay, we're going to do some shaky finance.
Right.
But for the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
I think even that machinery.
Right.
Where he converted all of what she did into shaky financials.
Right. Well, see, that's the problem is I don't think that he gave his daughter the manual that she created that said, do this, renew. Example, when we first got together, I had a loan I renewed, like I paid off, we renew it in 3 months. I paid off, we renew it in 3 months. I don't think that the daughter got that manual.
Oh, how this works and
Yeah.
why we're doing this, and
Hmm.
no, I definitely don't think she did either, but I don't think, even with that it was built on like bad financials.
No.
Now, do I think it might have been a little bumped?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think she probably had to get a little creative,
Hmm.
but I don't think she was out there like entirely off base. Like, I
Right.
think she was keeping it within like the stratosphere of reasonable,
Right. And
you
normal.
know. Yeah. And at least claimable of like, well, it was a mistake or it was a marginal error. It really didn't affect the situation.
Or
No.
it's in the eyes of the beholder.
Well, and again, within reasonability,
Yeah.
that like this one loan.
Hmm.
Now, the fact that there's like 500 of them,
Right.
it makes a material difference, but on the one individual,
Right.
it's not a material difference.
Right.
Now, you add up all the differences,
Hmm.
it's significantly material. You're living off the proceeds of the loans for an overvalued, situation. Like,
Right.
but and that may have been her.
Right.
I don't think it was. I think she had a legitimate machinery that just worked.
Right.
And was not built on like excessively padding financials to
Yeah.
to overstate valuations to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger loans.
Right.
I don't think it was anything untoward.
Right.
But somewhere in there, I think someone,
Hmm.
and it may have been a bank itself,
Hmm.
got creative. Like, for once in his history, I think a bank was about to say no.
Hmm.
And some low level or mid level or whatever loan officer
Hmm.
went, I can't tell you what to do.
Right.
But if this loan were to be approved,
Hmm.
what I need to see, and just basically laid out how to cheat the system.
Right.
And I'm sure they got a very lovely house out of it,
Oh, yeah.
or New York apartment or whatever.
Right.
And I'd say you dig far enough, you'll find the banker that pulled this stunt. That
Oh, I think that New York is going to dig deep enough to find every banker that ever done anything wrong. But on the other side of that, I think that the lending laws changed comparatively to the 80s. I mean, in the 80s
oh
and
yeah,
90s.
oh yeah. Well, because we lost, what was it, Glass Steagall,
Hmm.
and then we turned around and had the housing crisis. We got Dodd-Frank out of it, if I remember
Yep.
correctly. And then we've turned around again and let that expire, because that expired under Trump,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not always the best with these, but now we're cruising back to, we're gonna need another, like, we're either gonna need another set of laws.
Well, I think we need laws, not embargoes,
Mm-hmm.
not executive orders, real factual laws.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but that's been the hardest thing to get out of
Mhm.
our, normal lawmaking processes.
Yes, because it ain't working.
Because yeah, and that's why we're getting more into executive orders and regulatory agencies having to go to the furthest extent of their abilities,
Hmm.
to try to shut some of this shit down.
Yeah.
And it's why we're getting more and more complex financial products that don't make any sense to anyone,
Right.
that are built on
Hmm.
some very complex, weird ass math,
Right.
intended to confuse people, so that they don't know what the hell they're buying or what the hell they're doing.
Right.
That then in turn, well, it's not illegal. Yeah,
Right.
that's because we don't have a functional fucking government. Because anyone with two eyes that could have figured this out
Mm-hmm.
has been gagged and beaten to submission,
Mm-hmm.
to and forced out of offices and positions and everything else,
Right.
so that these can exist. They've been lobbied into silence.
Right.
So that, no, it's not illegal.
Right.
It's just like the most morally reprehensible
Right.
financial move you could possibly make.
Right.
It's a toxic product.
Right.
Like, it has no benefit to a consumer except for a very select few number
Mm-hmm.
of self-serving individuals.
Right. Well, plus, they've changed the way banking is. I mean, back in the early 90s, you own a house, you take the house, you write a mortgage on the house, you take out the mortgage, you use the cash of the mortgage to do whatever, you pay it off, you turn around, you refinance, you get another mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
you take that mortgage and, do something else with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, effectively, it was the home as piggy bank.
you're right.
Like, this is your largest financial asset. You can
Mm-hmm.
make it work for you through mortgaging.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can use a mortgage to buy it, but you can also use a mortgage to pull equity out to handle major renovations, repairs, etc.,
Etc.
or fund different, like business opportunities.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting ready to retire, you have a dream business you want to do, you remortgage your house,
Mm-hmm.
you have a retirement income that'll pay the mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
you pull some equity out of your house to launch your business,
Mm-hmm.
and then the business hopefully is successful,
Right.
and pays back all the money you borrowed out. But even if it doesn't,
Right.
you have a retirement based income
Right.
that can cover the mortgage and pay it out. You're just not going to have as nice of a retirement as you could have had.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you got to eat something. And it's, quality of those retirement years to pay off the house.
Right.
But then we started doing things like reverse mortgages,
Right.
where effectively we're devaluing the asset,
Mm-hmm.
and good luck, there's no asset left.
Right.
So your family members, if they want to keep this thing,
Mm-hmm.
have to go into massive debt to buy it,
Right.
because it got sold for, pennies on the dollar.
Right.
I mean, like, again, this is the list of products that, like, no, all this does is benefit, like, it doesn't benefit the actual consumer,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not traditional lending. It doesn't do the traditional lending things. It just devalues an asset so it can be picked up for pennies,
Mm-hmm.
at auction.
Right. And see, the other thing, and we got to remember, she was dealing with 1980s economy,
Mm-hmm.
1980s ways of financing. Back
Mm-hmm.
in the 80s, my dad could walk into, and did, walk into a bank, say, I'm in the mood for $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Sign a note, walk out.
Mm-hmm.
No credit check, no proof of income, no nothing.
Yeah,
He
but he
dealt
had
with
a
the bank for 40
20-year,
years.
well, but he had like a 20, 30-year relationship with that bank.
Yeah.
Like, they know who you are. They know what you are doing. Now, for him to walk into a whole brand new bank and pull that off would have been a nightmare.
Right.
Like, some phone calls got to get made.
Yeah.
What kind of consumer are you? What should I lend you? Like, we're going to go through the baby steps of this.
Right.
And you better have a 30-year employment history.
Right.
But no, we did do a lot of depersonalization with banking.
Right.
In terms of credit scores, because please remember, credit scores are new.
Yeah.
And it is a secret sauce formula that no one understands.
Yeah.
That
Not even the credit bureau itself.
Well, and then there's a lot of issues with credit bureaus and the concept.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not necessarily saying that all credit bureaus are bad. This is a horrible idea and it should have never existed and blah blah. I'm not there. I'm just going the way, because no one understands the secret sauce,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a proprietary trade secret.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what we don't know,
Right.
because we can't know. And I don't even know that some of the issues with credit bureaus and with credit scores are intentional.
Right.
It could very easily just be, well, you have bad data, you have bad assumptions, you have a bad formula,
Mm-hmm.
you're messing this up somewhere. And what you're doing, like, over and under represents different populations
Mm-hmm.
in borrowing capacity.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, your secret sauce is garbage.
Right.
But we can't know that because that's a proprietary trade secret.
Right.
Which is,
Catch up.
yeah, well, because these are all private entities.
Right.
Because that's the thing, is we call them credit bureaus. These are not, this is not a federal government entity.
Right.
This is a private industry, and they have a vested interest in protecting their secret sauce,
Mm-hmm.
um, and doing the will of banks with it,
Right.
not consumers. Like, it doesn't benefit a consumer.
Right.
I mean, it's nice when you have an 850 credit score, you can do a lot of things.
See, but then we look at Donald Trump, and I'm like, why wasn't he's been so late on payments. He's defaulted and gone through bankruptcy so many times. How does this man have a credit score?
Because that gets into the world of business finance,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't built. The business has a credit score,
Mm-hmm.
but the process for a business loan is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is still very much a personal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's kind of built towards this throwing money away mentality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you fuck up on a $200,000 home loan, you're a horrible individual. You fuck up on a $50,000 car loan, you're a horrible individual. You fuck up on, a $20,000 credit card, you're a horrible individual. You fuck up a $2.3 million business loan, well, that's just bad luck, and we want to help.
Mm-hmm.
What? Wait a minute. Like, process that. But then you look at the number of businesses versus the number of people. Banks can afford to lose a significant amount of money on a business loan,
Mm-hmm.
compared to if every single person that walks into a bank to buy a house, a car, or open a credit card
Mm-hmm.
screws that right on up.
Right.
Like, if you have, what is it, like 4 billion or something Americans? Like, where are we at?
I think we're at 8 billion at the current point.
Well, I think that's closer to world population, but I may be wrong. Again, I
Yeah.
offhand don't know. What is the U.S. population? Oh, wow, I'm way off. United States is 331 million. Still, 331 million people.
All right.
And granted, we know some of those aren't adults, but get the gist of it. But 331 million people fuck up a $200,000 home loan.
Mm-hmm.
Or even half that if you assume every home buyer is part of a couple.
Right.
Still, 150 plus 15, so 165 million people fuck up a $200,000 home loan.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to close some banks
Well,
real quick.
Right. But at the same time, it just boggles my mind that people who rent and have rented for years cannot get approved for a home loan.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, excuse me?
Especially when the home loan and the monthly mortgage payment is going to be less than their current rent.
Right.
Like, make it make sense. Why would you not approve me?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be spending $3,000 in a month in rent, why can't I? Why don't you see that I can obviously afford? I'm paying $3,000 a month in rent now. I've paid $3,000 a month in rent for years. I'm gonna be paying more rent next year, next month, next whatever. How can you not approve me for an $1,800 a month mortgage?
Right.
Like, make it make sense. Where does this $1,200 mysteriously vanish to?
Right.
That this doesn't make sense for you.
Right. I'm like, where's the math? Oh.
Yeah, math's not mathing.
Yeah. Oh, it's my credit score where I've not had credit.
Well, and again, this is all to benefit. It ends up benefiting landlords at the expense of ordinary consumers trying to live.
Right.
So you can be a business and you can build your entire business off of mortgaged properties. Like, you buy one house, that's a personal home. You buy two houses, that's a vacation home. You buy three houses, that's business. And there's an assumption, I think, in becoming a landlord that you have an obviously profitable business. People got to live somewhere. So if you approve all these people for housing,
right,
you no longer have a profitable business.
Right.
Or a highly profitable business. You now have to reduce those rates to attract tenants and or sell off the assets that are supporting our ability to loan you money.
Right.
So it kind of starts to sound a little self-serving on banks to not approve someone for an $1,800 a month mortgage when they're paying $3,000 a month in rent. Like, where does that math work? And I think it truly has to do with this idea that landlords as business owners are generating money versus homeowners that are just consuming an asset. Because typically, if you're signing up for a 30-year mortgage, you're not going to be doing that every so often.
Which
you have limited profitability.
Right, which I'm going to say this, and people don't like this. Do not get a 30-year or 40-year mortgage. Get a 15-year mortgage. Get it over and done with. If you can get a 5-year mortgage, do it.
Well, depending. I mean, depending upon what you're trying to do and what that affords you.
Right.
Like, I'm all about like get in and out on a mortgage. Like that makes the most sense.
Right.
Especially if you're talking about you're currently affording $3,000 a month in rent.
Right.
Versus, a 30-year at $1,800 versus like how many years can we shorten it by paying $3,000 a month? Because I would think that would go real quick. Right. Because that's a lot of accelerated money towards the principal. So even if you do a 30-year, pay it at $3,000 rate, and then be done early. Not that your banker is going to like you for that, because that cuts out a big chunk of their profitability. Because all those extra payments are going to end up on the principal, and then that cuts out their interest, and again reinforces this idea. You're not a good consumer to them. They don't make money off you.
Right.
Especially when you're, accelerating your mortgage. You're costing the money. Because that's unearned interest that you just screwed them out of for your benefit. And again, I think that has a lot to do with the conversation, is that most business finance is going to be paid. If they finance for 30 years, they'll pay it for 30 years.
Right.
They're going to get every dime of interest.
And some. But, with that, play the game. Always read every page of that loan document. See if you can pay it off early. See if it costs you to pay it off early.
Typically, it doesn't.
Typically. But some of these loans, it can cost you.
Well, again, these are, consumer products that are not meant to benefit the consumer.
Right.
And the fact they exist is totally a function of not regulating the industry properly, or not having the legal authority to regulate the industry properly.
Right.
So that's it's frustrating. I hate this is the world we live in, that this is the conversation.
Well, it's one of the conversations. There's a lot of conversations out there. There's also, little grassroots things starting up, like Cabbage, and I think another one's called Neighbor, where you're becoming an investor to also be a banker.
Okay.
It's a really interesting concept. You finance other people. And then they turn around and you get financed by them, by their payments.
So if you've got, and are we talking micro lending, or are we talking like slightly larger?
Well, starting out micro lending.
Okay. So like, here's your you need $200 to do X.
Right.
I have $200, so you're going to pay me back $200 plus 10% interest.
Right.
Okay, cool. So I made $20. Now I have $220 to lend out to the next person.
Right.
For 10% interest. So now I have, and you just slowly accelerate what that turns into. And then you can take other money and add to that and keep snowballing it. Yeah. No, I'm there for that. I like, and I look, and I think that's where, at the rate banks are going. And effectively, it's a very credit union idea.
Right.
Is that, because typically these on a credit union side are low risk loans.
Right.
Like, there's risk, but it's not the kind of risk that banks will play with.
Right.
Like, banks are out here playing Russian roulette and whatever. I got a bonus. Credit unions are over here like, no, we're not going to do that, because that's how you crash credit union. Is you over risk.
Right.
So they usually stay very conservative.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But if you can do that in terms of like effectively taking your $200, someone else's $200, another $100, another $1,000, blah blah blah, add it all together over multiple people.
Right.
Then yeah, you have the money from a collective source to fund a mortgage.
Right.
It's and then each of you, like, you might lose that $200 or a portion of it. But you have a healthier risk.
Right.
That it's going to trickle money in for a while.
Right. And grow and connect with others, and and it's not you're all taking the risk. It's like you do two, I do two, but we may be in 3 loans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you diversify that out. You try to lend a little conservatively. Like, don't get crazy.
Yeah.
But if you were to lose it, if this was not to be a fully repaid loan, like we're talking about your individual loss is a couple $100.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll survive.
Right.
It's not ideal. It's not what you wanted, but it's a couple $100.
Right.
Versus like day trading your retirement.
Hey.
No, what I'm talking about is like the people who retire,
Mm-hmm.
get the lump sum of their retirement, and then either go day trade it literally
Mm-hmm.
and don't know what they're doing and burn it, or they turn it over to a portfolio manager who does the same thing
Right.
and talks their clients into really high risk transactions.
Right.
And then 2, 3, 4, or 5 years in, like you don't have a retirement. What retirement?
Yeah.
There's no retirement here. Like you had a run of bad investments.
Right.
But your investment banker, your portfolio manager, they all got really nice bonuses for selling the stock.
Exactly.
So, yay for them.
Yeah. So,
And it's happened.
and continue.
That's the scary part, is it's happened.
Yeah.
Kills me. All right.
Alrighty. So moving in, let's go ahead and let's talk about another WVU professor in charge and indicted for embezzlement.
Yes. So from WBOI, a former professor at West Virginia University has been indicted on 2 counts of federal program fraud. According to a release from the United States Department of Justice, Kevin He, 41, has been indicted for allegedly embezzling federal grant funding from WVU's engineering department while he was a professor there. Court documents and statements made in court said that he allegedly used the funds to purchase clothing, furniture, home goods, and electronics for his personal use. The indictment against He was returned on November 2020, but remains sealed because he fled the country. He was arrested in New York on September 26, 2023, after entering the U.S. from Canada. At a hearing on Friday in Clarksburg Federal Court, the U.S. Attorney's Office motioned to detain He pending trial due to the risk of flight. The motion was granted. If convicted, He faces up to 10 years in prison for each count of fraud. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General and the WVU Police Department investigated this case, and U.S. Attorney Sarah Wagner is prosecuting on behalf of the U.S. government.
Good.
Oh, so seriously, you fled? I mean, how much did you steal?
Enough.
I know. Well, I mean, granted, but yeesh. Yeesh. So, in a lot of business situations, this is just called commingling funds and makes your accountant very unhappy.
Right.
When you're dealing with federal grant money, that is not how they view that.
No, they're not normally happy about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. You really have to carefully account for every expenditure.
Right.
And you want to avoid any ability to inadvertently access those funds. Because again, they don't play.
Right.
Again, you can also thank your Congress people over many decades for the fact that we don't play with grant funding.
Right.
Don't screw with grants.
Well, and this is just a misuse because this was supposed to go through a program that was very, and I do mean very needed. Like this is one of the high dollar programs for WVU.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude goes and fucks around with it. I'm like, not good. Not good.
Again, sometimes it's a misunderstanding that this isn't your personal piggy bank for your business, that you can sit here and just piss your accountant off, who has to decommingle your funds because you're using it all as one big giant piggy bank.
Mm-hmm.
This is a federal program.
Right.
Do not think you can pay it back and everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah.
don't think that, well, it'll all come out in the wash. No, it does not. Like there's some very tight accounting around like grants and different funding sources. If you use this incorrectly, yeah, you can have a real bad day.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, how do you like, we have, and this is what I don't get. We have look-alike cards. We have cards that, it isn't like, oh, well, this card, no, you can't commingle, federal grant money.
Typically not. But again, the money comes in from the federal grant source and then gets deposited into an account.
Right.
And that's where it becomes the difference between these are earmarked funds,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be very, very, very careful that you don't inadvertently spend them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your program has like a university funded general operating expense,
Right.
and you exceed that,
Mm-hmm.
then you start tapping, even though there's money in the account, you can very quickly start eating through grant money.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it's like a series of bad ideas.
All right. I just don't think that with him fleeing the country, I don't think this was accidental.
Either that, or he had or he knew this was not going to go his way.
Right.
Because again, this doesn't normally go people's way when you screw with grant money.
Right.
And that comes after decades of arguing about federally funded research.
Right.
And trying to make this as ugly as possible. Ugly to get, because we don't want to waste taxpayer money on stupid research. Because, welcome to the ivory tower of education that no one on the Republican side of the aisle ever wants to fund.
Right.
Because we're just empowering liberal elites to destroy the universe. Or whatever. It's an ideological debate fundamentally. But what has fundamentally happened is we have more regulation over research grants
Mm-hmm.
than our banking system has ever thought of.
Right.
Like if we took the microscope that we apply to research grant funding or grant funding in general and applied it to our financial industry, we would have one of the strongest financial industries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Just let that, again, the math isn't mathing. But okay. Because here's my thing. If you're a banker, this is your professional job, is handling money.
Right.
If you're a researcher, that's not what you do. It should be a little more reasonable for mistakes were made.
Right.
Pay it back. Don't do it again. You have a probationary period or an abstinence period where you cannot apply for grant funding.
Right.
Like, learn your lesson, then talk to us again.
Right.
But then we can go around and we wrote all these toxic mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bank showed up and went, hi, we could use some money. And generally speaking, none of the executives that created this lost their job.
Right. Which is
business as usual.
Right.
Thanks for your government bailout.
Yeah. Except for WAMU.
Yeah. Poor WAMU.
Yeah.
They have
lovely products.
Yes. Poor WAMU, said no one ever.
Hey, I just did. Thank you.
What?
They had some lovely products.
Okay. I'm not familiar with what WAMU offered, but apparently
I didn't used to have to wait 4 days for my paycheck.
Well, yeah, but they were gorging on toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were eating the toxic stew breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
So I like that's the point I have to kind of go. I can't care so much about their positive financial products when it's like, and then all of this is built on a foundation of toxic sludge.
Right.
Like, because that's how they were able to afford to offer some of those really nice products.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but no, like they had good products in my opinion. They took care of their advanced customers, the high spenders.
Mm-hmm.
There was none of this. Okay, I'm gonna hop on a soapbox for a moment. Everyone, ride the ride a minute.
Okay.
I work for a company in New Zealand. The company pays me. They charge me $25 exchange fee.
Mm-hmm.
Then it comes to our bank,
Mm-hmm.
where I then have to pay another $15 because it's wire transferred instead of arch deposited. What?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of this has to do with using crappy financial products to achieve the payment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I get that there were a number of banks who offered, and WAMU, I'm sure, was one of them, to do some of these things for free.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what's it worth?
Right.
Like it costs us more to account for it than we make off of it.
Right.
Versus the banks that are like, yeah, no, this is a revenue generator for us. It's one of many.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need our money.
Yeah.
If you don't want to pay this, use a different financial product that doesn't charge.
Yeah, like we have a choice in the matter.
True. True.
All right, so let's hop into your assholeness.
All right. So, am I the asshole for telling my mom it's not my fault my half siblings don't have grandparents? So, I, 16 male, have grandparents on my dad's side of the family, but my half siblings, via mom, have no grandparents. Mom's parents are not in our lives and never were. My mom's husband's parents are also not in the picture. It's always been that way. While my grandparents were always in my life. When my dad was alive, he saw them all the time. After he died, I stayed close to them, but mom and them had a lot of disagreements and they no longer speak. I was 6 when my dad died. Mom remarried a year later. My parents' marriage wasn't great, and I have been made aware of that, so I think moving on fast helped my mom a lot. She was able to enjoy a relationship again. I never had the greatest relationship with her husband. I think he always had some bad feelings towards my grandparents because they stayed so involved with me, but weren't part of the wider family, and they always referred to him as my stepdad, while he feels they should have said parents versus mom and stepdad to me. But they know I don't say parents to mean my mom's husband. They refer to him as more of a familial title than I do. But anyway, I have 3 half siblings. They are not included by my grandparents, which makes sense to me because they are not family. I always go to my grandparents. They never come to my mom's house. So it's not like they're being rubbed in my half siblings' faces, but it upsets my half siblings and bothers my mom and her husband that I have grandparents and an extended family, but not my half siblings. For about a year now, I feel like my mom and her husband take it out on me. It started because they were dropping more hints that I should ask my grandparents to invite my half siblings over or out with us, but I didn't want to do that. Then my mom would put roadblocks up so I couldn't go with them. Her husband would grumble every time I was about ready to go. They would try to come up with mandatory family obligations we had with each other. Then came snarky comments about me not giving a shit about my baby siblings and how my half siblings were watching me and seeing that I love people who denied them. I snapped when that comment came up from my mom and told her it was not my fault. My half siblings don't have grandparents and that she should stop taking it out on me. Mom said I really didn't give a shit and I had no idea why they were upset with me. Am I the asshole?
No.
I mean, this has got to come up in the Modern Family, as we frequently refer to it, in which you have different situations leading to multiple marriages and multiple paternities and multiple extended families, and it isn't just I don't know though. I mean, I don't think it was the grandparents' responsibility to take on
The additional children.
their daughter-in-law's future children with her new husband.
Right.
Like, would it be nice? Sure. Like we would all hope for the village to raise the children and, kumbaya, the world's a beautiful place. There's rainbow and sunshine everywhere.
Agreed.
Is it a responsibility? Is it required? Should anyone be guilted for this? Should anyone be denied a relationship with their grandparents over it? No.
Well, and see, here's the thing. Here's the big line for me. Mom never invites them over.
Uh-huh. Like, basically, she wants all the benefits for her kids while still maintaining all of the, like, dislike and disconnection.
Right.
And it's kind of like, so basically you want your ex-in-laws, or your late husband's parents, let's go that route, because there wasn't a divorce.
Right.
Sounds like it was headed towards it and was probably going to go that way, but for death. But so your former in-laws, let's call them that, your former in-laws that you don't like, that you can't agree with and you can't be comfortable around, you do want to use them basically as like an ATM babysitter,
right,
for all your kids, because you're not connected to your parents and your husband isn't connected to his parents through whatever.
Right.
But you want to take it all out on your late husband's parents. Like,
yeah.
That's really, but more importantly, you want to take it out on a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, you want to take this is the hill you're prepared to die on, is you're going to take this out on a 16-year-old.
Well, what's even more scarier is they're allowing it to affect the relationship with the 16-year-old, who may choose at one time or another to go, you know what? They're cooler than you. They're paying for my college. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here.
Well, even if they don't do that, I think they're going to have a better relationship with their grandparents than they do their mom, and especially the stepdad who wants to interfere in that.
Right.
Like, I'm really struggling to understand that.
Right.
I mean, because when we talk about, like, your parents divorce and you remarry, do you have, like, as a step parent, the right to treat these kids differently?
Right.
That like baby daddy one sent you money and you're not my responsibility. So, your mom and I are going to, and our two kids are going to go out to eat, but you can sit at home.
Right.
Because you don't have any money.
Right.
Because your, father sucks. Like, we talk about that and we're real mad. Like, no, that's not the deal. That's not the deal. I think trying to sow animosity with someone's grandparents for decisions and situations that were so far out of their control.
Right.
this is between the grandparents and mom, and ostensibly the new husband.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And actually, it's not even between them.
okay.
It is not between the grandparents at all. It's between the mom and the dad to figure out how to be adults.
Yeah. Like, but more to the point, I mean, why do you want to pit the kids in the middle?
Yeah.
Because technically, they're pitting all the kids in the middle.
Right.
Like, they're pitting the kids against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're trying to pawn this all off as the bad actor being the 16-year-old
Mm-hmm.
and the grandparents who don't, love them. And I'm just like, I just have all kinds of ick, and it's like, you're not the asshole.
Yeah.
Like, this is an ick.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that.
Let's hit the poll up. Oh, go down to Shannon.
Yeah, as Shannon says, as someone from a family of 6 kids and 3 baby daddies, we were made very aware from a young age that the other siblings' grandparents might not want to hang out with us, but we do something separate when the kids hanging with their grandmas and grandpas. That seems reasonable.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think necessarily on the grandparent side you have to like totally on board.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like the situation between mom and her in-laws, her former in-laws,
Mm-hmm.
is just that bad that it's like they're not even like, we're not even getting in the middle of this. We just want to see our grandchild. That's it.
Right.
Like, you done, like, we have a connection to one of you through our son. We're good.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want your drama. And probably if there'd never been a kid from the first marriage, I doubt these people would have anything to do with each other at all.
Right.
Like, if the 16-year-old didn't exist, mom wouldn't know or care or be in the least bit interested
Mm-hmm.
in whether or not she still saw her in-laws
Right.
from her former husband.
Right.
But it sounds very much like she is determined to turn this into a battle.
Well, and I think it's a battle that's dead.
Well, it's not, though. It's still affecting the 16-year-old, and it's still, like, escalating.
Right. But what I'm saying is I think it's a battle that's dead. Because the battle isn't technically with the grandparents.
Right. Like, I hate this for OP. You've got 2 more years of this, and I think I already know where you're going with this. Is like, you're out.
Yeah.
Keep good contact with your grandparents. I think they really, really care about you. I think your mom's really messed up, and you're going to find the word boundaries
Mm-hmm.
to be very important in your future.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yep.
I'm not psychic, but he is. But my spidey senses are tingling and say you're going to find the words boundaries and low or no contact very, very, very important in the next few years.
Yes.
Just FYI. Because this isn't a fair place. This isn't a fair way to treat your child.
No. It's far
like, even if you feel like your former in-laws should do more, you don't take that out on the kid.
No, you have a discussion with them, like, how can we build a better relationship with everyone?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, how do we make this work? How do we make this good?
Yeah.
How do we not harm, how does no one get harmed in this?
Yeah.
But
like,
it looks like it's taking hostages and firing shots.
Yeah.
So, all right, not the asshole. That's where I'm at. We'll see where the poll goes, but
yeah.
All righty, moving right along.
And that's where I'm at. Also, not the asshole, but step parents. Now, those are another story. All right, so moving right along.
All right, so from polyamory, we get holidays and family. I've done some research into the different scenarios of a partner's family not accepting their relationship for both mono and poly to get some perspective. I thought I'd go ahead and make a post, though, to get some feedback on my personal situation. I, 30 female, in a V relationship with a woman, 34 female, and her husband, 32 male, is my meta. They have a toddler together as well. We've been in this dynamic for approximately a year now. My meta and I get along wonderfully, and my relationship is going well. However, we have the issue of my partner's family. Before her parents knew about us, they always welcomed me to family events and social gatherings. I was supposed to go to their on their Thanksgiving vacation with them, and we all got along. Everything changed after they were told about this relationship about 3 months ago, and they have since banned me from everything. We don't speak or see each other at all, and it's been pretty rough. My girlfriend is very close to her parents, and she has had a rough time dealing with their disapproval. They have said that our relationship is weird, and they are concerned about her marriage with my meta. I assume they think I am a threat to their relationship and am a bad influence on their child. So that's the gist of the situation. I'm seeking advice on how to handle the upcoming holidays. My girlfriend wants to continue with the original plans with me excluded and thinks that I shouldn't care what her parents think or are doing. We've had many discussions about how I feel unhappy with being left out and that I would like her to stand up for me more. Plus, it makes me jealous to see my meta experience those events with her while I can't. She doesn't see her parents super often, with the exception of the occasional visit, maybe once a month or so. She has tried on multiple occasions to talk to them about this and to get them to at least try to understand, but they refuse to. She does not want to cut them out of her life because they have a close relationship with their grandchild. And again, she has always been close to them as well. I know it's up to me to decide whether this is something I should deal with, but it's a hard decision. I either cut out someone very important to me or I deal with being excluded from these things. Does anyone have any words of wisdom or feedback for how to go about this? Hmm. Well, I think you summed up exactly what your choices are. I don't think there's a
No,
good middle ground.
I think that there is a different ground, though.
Okay.
And here's the different ground, or
Okay.
different perspective. Meta and wifey go on dates all the time. We would assume, they have their own thing they go and do. If not, I would be concerned about the V and just how strong that V is.
Mhm.
I would treat it as that.
This is a date. You don't like where they're going,
Yep.
but it's a date.
Right. You know, here's a weird, the invisible hates, and I do mean hates Chinese food. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean that me and Joe don't go and have sushi at least once a month.
Hmm. And talk about sushi and bring home sushi leftovers and have sushi in the fridge and sometimes run by Kroger and buy sushi and
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Now, do I think that it's shitty that the girlfriend is not standing up and going, we ain't playing this game? It's all or nothing. Yes. Do I think that that's your call to bring up that she's not, standing with you or, defending you or any of that? No, not worth it.
Well, here's the thing though. Does the child complicate?
It does.
Okay. So let's for a moment take the child out of the equation and
Hmm.
pretend that this is just the V. There is no child, there is no grandparent relationship to be concerned with.
Hmm.
Does that really change it though?
Yes.
Like if you have shitty relatives,
Bye.
and I'm just gonna go there, you have shitty relatives
Right.
that want no part of this weird relationship you're in and think that this is bad for your marriage.
Hmm.
Do you as the V, as the one with the parents, do you hope that, like, because I think a lot of people have this hope that, like, with time this will get better?
Well, you know, let's put it this way. Let's look at our relationship because we are in a V formation.
Mm-hmm.
Mama Knight likes you better than anybody. But sorry, you know, she buys clothes for me, but no, she buys clothes for
me. They don't fit you. They fall off you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Then we have Invisible's mom,
mm-hmm.
who got pissed. I got in trouble.
Mm-hmm. You did. You got in trouble.
Yeah, because I left Joe at home. I'm like, he's working. I have internet.
I can't help I'm lovable.
Yeah.
We're in the inverse though. We're in the inverse.
Yeah.
It's worked out. Like, we're on the other side of the coin. It has all worked out great. Now you're getting in trouble for not bringing.
Right.
Not bringing.
Right.
But I think other people have the more similar to OP and this situation where families are like, what's that? I want no part of it. Like, ew.
Well, and let's, we talked about two arms. Let's talk about another arm of this V.
Mm-hmm.
Your sister,
mm-hmm.
family event, and we're like, okay, we'll come, blah, blah, blah. And make sure Invisible comes.
We'll do what we can. Do you know how hard it is to get the hermit out of the house?
Right.
We're trying.
We tried,
We tried.
And he did. He went. He had a good time. Everyone had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we're the inverse. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
We never treated it like anything special or underhanded. It was like, no, this is Jeff.
Yeah, baristas check to see if I'm alive. No. Well, but I think we truly are. Maybe not the inverse, but we got lucky.
I think it's because we didn't act like it was anything different. We didn't give them room to question. Granted, I've got some cousins that are problematic. They've been fired. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, I think for core family dynamics,
mm-hmm.
like it wasn't an issue.
Right.
And I do have to say that's a bit of luck. That
right.
I don't think everyone or even most people get that.
Right. Well,
and so I think it's more common that you might have one or two of the families in, like, just talking about a V.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yay, this is cool. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
And like, yay, bring your meta or your partner or both or whatever.
Right.
But I don't think that's so to speak, the norm.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people that get left out in the cold, either, and it can be like, if we're talking about specifically a 3-person V.
Yeah.
It may even be all 3 people's families shut them off.
Right.
And go, as long as you're in this dynamic, we want no part of it.
Right.
Like, you're a homewrecker trying to break up a marriage. You are, whatever.
Whatever.
Like, you're going off and sinning, and doing all the horrible. Mm-hmm. So we're going to shut all you off. Like, all 3 families, all 3 shut off, no matter what you try to.
Right.
What version.
Right. But I'm going to go and like, I trained mine early. I was like 19, 18. I was in nursing school. No. Just entered nursing school. Finished my 8th. I took off. Dad started an argument. I said, that's it. I'm gone. They had to send my uncle to go find me. Mm-hmm. You need to come home. They want to talk to you. Well, they need to learn to accept my life. I have always held the right that I can fire my family at random. Mm-hmm. So mine were pre-trained very quickly.
Right.
We ain't playing this. So that's a difference, I think, than a lot of straight couples get.
I think that brings up a very valid point.
Mm-hmm.
Is that this is one of those moments where there is not a straight privilege here.
Yeah.
Like straight privilege dies real quick in this situation.
Yeah.
And rapidly in some points.
Right.
And it probably would work out better with OP's family
Mm-hmm.
than with her partner's family and even the husband's
Mm-hmm.
family.
Right.
Um, Again, this is where straight privilege goes to die.
Right. Right.
And I will say that truthfully and honestly about polyamory. Like
Yeah.
it's like, hi, welcome out of the closet. It's another coat rack in the closet, and it is broken.
Right.
So it is a coming out process, and it does have a lot of like weird twists and turns.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're also like, if you're part of the rainbow umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
I think and that's already a coming out that has occurred.
Right.
I think there's more likelihood that, like, okay, this is just one other thing, and this is, like, I already have dealt with this, like, whatever emotional thing I had to unpack to, get back to happy, or if there was anything. A different relationship structure isn't all that, in a bag of chips. Like,
Right.
that's a cakewalk.
Yeah.
I think for families, and I think this is what's going on for OP's partner,
Mm-hmm.
is this was a double.
Yeah.
Like, our daughter is bi and in a polyamorous relationship, and it slammed into each other.
Right.
So I don't even think her parents know what they're mad at. They just don't want any of it.
Right. And
Um,
this is also new to them.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, and I'm making assumptions that the partner doesn't have siblings that are, gay, bi,
Right.
but if that's the case, if this is like you're the token rainbow umbrella and you're polyamorous and we found all this out at one moment,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that this is inherently the way it's always gonna be.
Right.
So I think that OP is putting a lot of black and white thinking into this
Mm-hmm.
as to it's gonna be this way forever.
Right.
I mean, because it's potentially a lot to ask someone to come out as bisexual
Mm-hmm.
and come out as polyamorous all in one go,
Mm-hmm.
and not think that this is gonna potentially have some reactionary,
Right.
while also expecting it to just be all their fault.
Right.
Because fundamentally, that's what the black and white thinking does, is like, it's all their fault that I'm stuck in this position,
Mm-hmm.
and I either have to deal with A or B.
Mm-hmm.
Either I have to walk away, which I don't think is true. I think you need to give them a lot of support through this. Or that you're going to be excluded forever, because it's kind of how you're phrasing it, is you're going to be excluded forever.
Right.
I don't think that's necessarily true either.
Wow.
Like, a lot of families don't react well to the news that their child is, under the umbrella. And then you throw the polyamory in there, and it's like you expected this to be like instant happiness, just add water.
Right.
And it's like, y'all might have to wait for them to get their footing on this.
Well, not only that, but the other problem is the bigger question here is, don't you have family? Don't you have plans? Because Lord knows, for us, it's always a balance of figuring out what to do with the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Well, because there's a family holiday that involves your mom.
Mm-hmm.
There's family holidays that involves my family.
Right.
Then there's family holidays and events and things that involve the invisible assistants family.
Mm-hmm.
And this is some of those are repetitive seasonals like Thanksgiving and Christmas and yeah. And then there's like the slate of 3 birthdays and then all the family birthdays and all the requirements for that.
All right.
And then there's on top of that like the friendsgivings and those kind of things.
Right.
Like if for most people, like again, Google Calendar is really important.
Yeah.
Because you can get to a point where it's like the holidays are a 3-month damn gauntlet
Right.
of just never ending commitments and places you've got to be and things you've got to do and who you've got to be with. And like who am I like disappointing this year?
Right.
Because hi, I'm human. I can't just blow off for 3 months.
Yeah.
And go take the tour of holiday gatherings.
All right.
And then come back on like January 1st with a hangover. Like that's not a
Right.
not a good idea. Like you can pull that in your 20s. By your 30s, you're gonna have to shut that shit down.
Well, and then you also have to figure out, for us, it's always, well, who's doing what, when, where?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be complicated, because it's always making choices, and those choices aren't always the easiest. And what I mean by that is, like, are we going to Clarksburg? Are we going to Whitfield? Are we staying in Oak Hill? Are we going to all three? But, one is getting Christmas Eve, one is getting Christmas Day, and the next one's getting Boxer's Day. And then you add in the additional layers that our families are modern families. So, it's like, well, who's going to have the niece and nephew? Who has the nieces and nephews this year?
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a lot of that too, that when you start adding in, like, because all of this is hard enough if you assume like 1 kid per family and no marriages, like 1 marriage, no divorces,
Mm-hmm.
none whatsoever. If you just look at it that way on this simple individual line, that's hard enough.
Right.
But you start factoring in divorces and living out in different states and, multiple other holiday commitments for each individual and whatever their life situation is. Like Google Calendar's really important. Right. Like, because I'm sorry, I'm one of 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find a date for Marapi Thanksmas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I have done things for larger groups and for companies that are less complicated than trying to find a date that works for 5 people in 3 states to 4 states, depending.
Mm-hmm.
that have kids in other states potentially, who have ex-spouses that are baby daddies, and like all of this trying to figure out how do we get everyone in one room on one day,
right?
And a year. And then like, okay, we're going to do this again next year. We used to start in September for this.
Mm-hmm.
For an event that's going to occur somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we had to start in September so that we could figure out what days already looked like they were available. Then people can start putting in paid time off requests.
Right.
Then they can deal with, okay, where am I going to be at?
Right.
Like, what state am I in? What are my kids' commitments?
Mm-hmm.
And am I involved in that? Like, do I have to be there to do something, whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just all of this added together to try to have this conversation. And it's like, I think we need a rocket scientist in the room.
Well, see, that's why I say we do it in July. The next time we're doing it in July, it makes more sense.
Are you on crack?
No, it makes more sense.
Okay, so then we have to deal with the birthdays, the other family commitments, because I cannot compete at all with one sibling's in-laws.
Right.
They have a beach house, honey.
That's why I'm saying we do it in July.
Or competition.
Okay, because that gets the happy out of the way. You do the birthdays, the Christmases, the Thanksgiving. I cook one turkey, one ham is delivered, and I argue over it, and we're done.
And I have one sibling that will never be there because I cannot compete with a beach house. Ever.
She doesn't go down there the whole month.
She doesn't go down there the whole month, but she takes a good solid week for it.
Again, we won't do it during the week she takes down there. A week is easier to compete with.
Yeah, but still, at a career point, not going to be taken off for two different events.
Oh, please. She can come up for a 3-day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You try it. See how that goes. Like, I cannot compete with a beach house. July, summer's out. Like, any month that could involve going to a beach house.
Mm-hmm.
I can't compete. Like, honey, your cooking is amazing.
Uh-huh.
Beach house. Like, I can't compete with we can't compete with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your cooking is amazing, but beach house. Like, come on, you would eat stale saltines and go to the beach.
Well, that's non-debatable, but
exactly.
You know,
exactly. There's no amount of good food in company that competes.
I don't care for Myrtle.
Okay.
Okay, me and Myrtle don't get along. Key West, yeah. We'll have debates on Key West.
Oh, at this point, I would go to Myrtle on the worst weekend ever. I don't know what that is, but I'm just saying, if there's a worst weekend ever.
The biker thing.
That's actually not as bad as you think.
Oh,
it's typically bear weekend.
Go damn anywhere.
But no, seriously, it typically biker week and bear week either are the same week or they're literally one into the other.
Right.
So there's an overlapping weekend, and it's a little weird.
Not really.
Well, no, I don't mean like that. I just mean like the two different groups meet like West Side Story in the middle of like Myrtle Beach, and it's really chaotic. It's not bad. It's just at all.
Right.
But you're sitting here going, "This is the worst weekend." I feel
yes, Sturgeon is the worst weekend in Myrtle Beach. I have lived there. The stores have nothing. There is no time to do anything. It will drive you up a wall.
I mean, I've gleefully gone to Myrtle Beach in February.
Right.
Like, I'm just saying, beach.
I know what you're saying. In February, it's not bad. Like, go to the beach in February.
Yeah, but you're not getting in the water.
Well, no, that's debatable.
Debatable?
Yeah.
I choose life.
Why? The water should be warm in February.
Ooh. No, it's frigid.
It is not.
It is too.
Only when you get in, give it 5 minutes, you'll be fine.
Oh, I see our retirement now. It's just going to be me sitting in a lawn chair while he does polar plunges. I get it. I get it now.
Well, depending on whose retirement we get. My retirement, no, we won't be doing polar plunges. We will be enjoying 70 degrees, 345 days a year.
Okay. And where is this magical place at?
San Diego.
Oh, okay. But yeah. So anywho.
Well, actually, we'll even do better. We'll go to Mexico and never see snow.
Well, there you go. That's a theory that you can have.
Hey, I want a housekeeper.
I know, don't we all? But no, I think this one is getting stuck in a lot of black and white thinking, and that it's always going to be this way. I think you need to realize the more important part is not the polyamory, but probably the bisexuality.
Right.
Um,
And he'll come back in a minute. And he freezes. Tick tock, tick tock.
Oh, sorry. There we go. All right, so I think the coming out was probably two-part, and either the bisexuality was already known, and they still haven't recovered from that one, and this is just like another mortar round. The like they haven't accepted the bisexuality, let alone ready for polyamory.
Right.
Or it was a dual event.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you need to let this play out for a bit before you make any rash decisions.
Yeah. See, Shaman, you mixed two words there: Mexico and mountains. If we go to Mexico, we're going to the beach.
He's going to get pissy every time he drives over a speed bump about how hilly it is.
Exactly.
That's his life goal for Mexico.
Yes.
So back to Brenda. Brenda had some questions.
Okay.
Or had a question. Have you ever had all three families to your house together?
No.
No. Mostly because we're less than 1,000 square feet.
Well,
and it would depend how deep you want to get into the families and like how layered you want to get before this goes from a large house gathering to we have people nuts to butts stacked like these are popsicles in a freezer.
Right.
Like it's gonna blow up quickly.
Yeah, but no, we haven't, but mainly because we can't get the three of them to agree on when to come together. If we look at direct connections, Mom and Connie have been together. Your sister and my mother has rode to Charleston and done an event together. But I've never had the three of them in the same room together.
No.
Yeah,
no, everyone seems to like it. I mean, like, I don't think everyone friended everyone.
No, everyone.
But I like it's not been animosity and hatred and all that. Like, so get along, yes.
Right.
Find their new bestie, maybe no.
No, they get along. They're nice, and I think they're all through. I think it's another V connection.
Well, but see, here's the thing, though. Like, I am kind of the odd one out because, like, I'm inheritance Barbie. And I came with dead everybody to this situation. Like, all I got left are siblings.
Right.
So that does kind of like, well, it's a little different.
Well, it is. But at the same time, looking at it, like all three families have intermingled with each other. Um, but it's more in the V formation. Like Mom and I just, hung out with Connie. Um, Mom and I just hung out with your sister, but I don't think your sister and Connie have hung out. That could be interesting and dangerous at the same time. Um,
Oh God, the amount of shooting.
Forget the amount of shooting. I'm afraid that they're going to take off.
Fair enough. Like this will go Thelma and Louise. That's how that'll go down.
Thelma and Louise, my ass. Let's not go down with, honey, go get the deed. We got to go get the two out. They got caught somewhere in Babcock trying to rescue a bulldog from someone they thought didn't own it.
Like there's no telling. Like basically imagine the movie Thelma and Louise though, but instead of a convertible, it's just big honking trucks.
Yes.
That's what this is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, actually, I know where it begins with.
I know which one shoots him.
Well, I do too. They have a record for destroying Pest.
Hey. So anywho.
But no, I know where this, I know where this begins with. It starts with, we'll just drop into 4-wheel drive. We'll go up this little shortcut over here. It'll be a shortcut. You don't take the car up that way. No big deal. We'll get there before they do.
Three search parties later. We will find them in the middle of the woods. They have established a colony.
Yes.
They have their own power and banking system. And a farm started.
Well, that and they've got a man held at gunpoint at the top of a tree, daring him to come down.
Yeah, because he was one of the search party who wandered off by himself, and then, like, that didn't go well.
Well, it didn't go well because he was being rude to the dog.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. They didn't like his look.
I could see this. This might be a danger combination. Like, no.
Yeah.
No.
But they have a lot in common.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Including upcycling. So, I'm really surprised that they haven't ran into each other. I think it's only a state border that keeps them away from each other.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like being geographically, it's
right.
Out. Oh, yeah, they will totally have tamed Bigfoot. Probably done his hair and, like, given him highlights. Taught him a few things. Now Bigfoot's a culinary chef.
Yeah.
He runs the restaurant in town that they formed.
Yeah.
Before the third search party got to them. Like, no, I could see this.
Yeah. Like, we're not joking. And if they're listening, they can confirm it in the comments below.
Like, they're not lost. Like, it's going to be the weirdest part is I'm going to be the one stuck on the news going, they're not lost. Like, both of them can technically find their way out of the woods. They just found a nice piece of property. They have started something. Like, this is now part of a world domination plot. They're not missing. Like, neither one of them are missing. They are both very capable.
Right.
Of getting out of the woods. Like, do you know what has had to have happened? Like a 747 loaded with passengers had to get struck by lightning and land wing first on both of them for them to be missing.
Exactly.
Has the 747 fallen out of the sky? Because one of them, if they were missing, would have made it back to civilization and called an ambulance.
No, they would not have.
Okay, they probably set the brake themselves, and it's still.
Yeah, they set the brakes themselves. They've done the surgery themselves and shot the ones they think was viable. And then they have gone on and took the metal from the 747 and turned it into solar panels.
There's a likelihood there. I could see it.
Yes.
Now they're trying to export the fuel.
Yes.
Damn. I thought I had a way in which there could possibly be they're not,
No.
They haven't formed the village. They're actually missing, but no, even then.
No, even then. 747 crashes, they are just cannibalize the parts. Yeah, these are my mother-in-laws.
Well, mother-in-law / sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be scary.
I mean, because one used to competition and throw, what are those Indian hatchets?
What, axes?
No, a specific type of axe, dear.
Tomahawks.
Tomahawks.
There you go.
And shoot black powdered rifles competitively. My other one, there's a few family stories about what she does with a gun. Really pest control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we figure they're armed at all times. Like, we just assume it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Like, there's no debate in that subject.
Not really. Like, and I figure either truck has at least a survival kit.
Oh, please. Like,
probably has that. Well, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about, like the whole knife with the compass handle and the fishing kit and matches and fire starter and like, a little emergency first aid kit.
I know, like, for one has a full toolbox in it. Like, she could take the engine apart and put it back together if she's in the mood to.
Yeah. So the truck breaking down isn't going to really be the problem. Again, this is what I'm saying. They're not missing.
Right. And they'd come back and fuss at us because if we said they were missing.
Yeah, basically. I was not missing. I was starting a village. We found a great piece of property. It was lovely.
And yeah. Finally found the farm.
Also, this is Tom, formerly known as Bigfoot.
Yes.
He makes a wonderful quiche. Like, this is how they would come back. Oh,
yeah.
I can visualize it. Oh, I think they're forbidden from ever meeting now.
No.
Honey, we don't have time in our life for a not missing situation.
They're just not allowed to go off on their own.
Okay, fair enough. They can be in the same room. We just have to make sure they never...
Right.
They cannot be unsupervised in a room together.
Right. And, we have to employ the ice tray method for car keys.
Oh, this is bad.
Or should I say truck keys?
Yes, truck keys.
Although I'm debatable on if one needs a key. But,
I figure with their resources, at least one of them can hotwire.
Oh, I think both of them know how to.
Well, but slightly more modern vehicles. I mean...
Huh? Have you seen what sits in either one of their driveways?
Yes, I know, but I mean, this isn't the 70s. You can't just pop the steering column and pull some wires and...
No, you have to have a screwdriver.
Well, again... They have toolboxes, but I'm just saying there's still a little more to it, even with like cars from the 90s up. There's a little more,
Mm-hmm.
a little more.
Yeah. More questions asked the next time we're at dinner. We're gathering
Oh,
intel.
this has spiraled so far out of control.
You started it.
How did I start it? Why? Why blame me?
Cause you do. You do it every time. All right, let's go see if you're the asshole this week. Ooh.
Oh, do we have a split vote?
No, but we have a close vote.
Okay.
66% said, no, you're not the asshole. 33% said, everyone is shitty.
Okay. Interesting. I gotta think on the everyone is shitty here. All right.
All right. So with that, guys, we will see you on Sunday night at 8 o'clock for Psychic the Plans. Hopefully, I will not have blown Notion up to the point that I can at least show you some of the work I've been doing.
Yay!
Either that or, you guys will see some very large books sitting on my desk because I relearned coding.
There is that.
Exactly. All right, guys. With that, take it away.
All right, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and with that, all, good night.
Good night.